Hello, I'm Ray Fetty, your Tulsa real estate man. www.tulsarealestateman.com 918-633-4775. Call me, okay? I'm hungry for your business. Now, today we're going to be talking about step 3 in my How to Buy a House seminar. Step 1 was get pre-approved, pre-qualified for a mortgage loan. Step 2 was how to set up your search for your new home, what things to pay attention to in your search. So by now you've done a search and you've got a list of homes and you're getting ready to go see the first home. So step 3 is what things you should look for in your showing, your first walkthrough of that property. Now, I did appraising before I got into sales. So when I look at a house with my clients, I generally look more like an appraiser is going to look at that house. A lot of buyers, the first thing they want to do is go inside. Well, what I do first is I look outside the house, okay? And here are the things that I look for. The first thing I look at is the roof. What age is the roof? And a lot of times it's common sense. You can look at a roof and determine if it looks like it's newer or older. If it's older, the shingles very often will shrink a little bit, okay, and maybe even curl up along the edges. So that's something to pay attention to. I'm going to look to see if there are any dips or bows in the roof underneath the shingles. Okay, that might indicate there was some warping in the sheeting that's underneath those shingles. I want to see if it's a dimensional shingle roof. Dimensional shingle means that that shingle actually has a little bit of a dimension to it. It looks a little thicker than a flat shingle roof does. And those dimensional shingle roofs are generally a little bit of more expensive roof and they last longer. So that's a good fact to know. I'm going to look at the flashing around a fireplace or around anything that sticks out of the roof. I'm going to look at the flashing around it to see if it's pulled away and there's any chance that water might run inside the flashing and cause some kind of future leak in a roof. I'm going to look to see if the house has gutters. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look around the outside edge of the house for any cracks in the siding. If it's a brick house, sometimes you'll see a little crack along the mortar. Okay? That's something to pay attention to. If you see a crack that goes through a brick or through a stone, if it's a stone-faced house, then that's something that would be a cause of concern. Okay? I look at the door frames, especially like the garage door, and I see if the brick has pulled away from the actual wood frame of that garage door or front door. Okay? If you see that the actual frame of the door has pulled away some, then chances are there's been some settling in the foundation of the house. You know, a little settling is probably not a bad thing, but it definitely indicates that you're going to need to have the structure of the house inspected to determine the soundness of the structure. Other things I look for outside, I try to find the outdoor compressor for the air conditioner or heat pump. And I basically just want to get some indication of how old it is. And a lot of it's common sense. You can look at an outdoor compressor. It's usually a metal box, and you'll be able to tell what age it is. If it's older, you know, there might be a little surface rust on it or something like that. If it's newer, you know, it's going to be nice and shiny. But if it's an older unit, chances are the next buyer of that house may have to replace it. Okay? So that's a good piece of information to have in the back of your mind. Also, I want to just get a general lay of the lot. I want to see if the lot rolls towards the house or away from the house. I want to know if there's a chance that moisture is going to roll up against the edge of the foundation of that house, because that's not a good thing. Now, some lots you can't help it. They're built on a hill, and there might be, you know, a hill that goes up against the house, but if that's true, chances are there's been a French drain or some kind of drainage system installed around the perimeter of the house to pull moisture away from the house. Okay? I'll look at fences just to make sure that they're intact. So those are the things I'll look for outside. Now, let's go inside the house. The first thing I want to look at inside is the flooring. Is it hardwood, carpet, tile, ceramic tile, or maybe it's a laminate floor? Okay? I want to see what kind of flooring there is in the house. If it's carpet, of course, very common sense thing is to look around to see if there are stains in it. If it's laminate, I want to look to see along the edges where the laminate joints are put together. A lot of times along the edge you'll see where there might be some tear or ripping of that veneer that's on the laminate floor. If it's hardwood, sometimes hardwood floors can get stained. Okay, some kind of stain can get into the wood. So those are things I want to look at as I'm walking through the inside of the house. I want to look for any kind of cracks I see along over top of the windows, over top of the door jambs, which would indicate some kind of structural settling of the house. Now, an important part of the inside is the kitchen. Okay? In the kitchen, I want to look at the cabinets. I want to open and shut doors, and I want to open drawers and shut them. I want to make sure that they're on a track system and that they open and close well. I want to determine when I open and close the cabinet doors if they feel solid, if the hinges are all holding well. Okay? I want to look at the appliances and determine how old those appliances look to me. After the kitchen, I'm going to look for the hot water tank. And a lot of times this will be in the garage in a closet, or sometimes it'll be in an inside closet on the hallway or somewhere around the kitchen. Very often on a hot water tank there's a plate or a sticker somewhere that will tell you the manufacturer's date, when that actual hot water tank was manufactured. That's a good fact to know, because that way you know how old the water tank is. Bathrooms. When I go into the bathroom, I want to see if the bathtub, what kind of backsplash it has. Is it a ceramic backsplash, ceramic tile, or marble, or is it fiberglass? Is it a fiberglass unit that has been installed into that bathroom? When I look at the fiberglass unit or even the tile, I want to see that it's grouted well, and I want to see that the outside perimeter of that tub has been caulked well, so that there's no chance that moisture in a bathroom leaks down into the subfloor, okay, because that might cause some rot. If it's an older house, I'm going to go up to where the toilet sits, and I'm going to put my foot next to the toilet on both sides and just push and make sure that that subfloor is solid where the toilet sits. Okay? You can see if the toilet shifts, then there's a good chance that that subfloor has gotten some moisture into it and might need repair. Now those are the big things that I look for in the house. Otherwise, I'm looking at the same things that any buyer would look for: paint color, room size, layout. Is this the kind of house that I would want to live in? Those are the typical things. But you want to make sure that you look at these structural issues, because generally when you put an offer on a house, you're going to have it inspected. Now there's 10, 12 different kinds of inspections you can do on a house, but all of them cost you, the buyer, money. So before you write an offer on a house that has structural issues or has a roof problem, or you see cracks around the door jambs and so forth, you're going to spend money on that inspection. So it could be that you want to move along and find a house that doesn't have these issues. and bypass that one. Now, if you fall in love with the house, you certainly can write an offer on those, and within the first usually 10 days after the contract has been ratified, accepted by both parties, you'll have the opportunity to have that inspected by some kind of qualified home inspector.